So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make one of these really adorable Poro Plushies from the game League of Legends. So let's go ahead and get into it. So to begin, you'll first want to decide on your fabric of choice. For this plushie, I'm going to be using this grizzly faux fur, which I got at Joann's Fabrics and Craft store. Next, you'll want to download the pattern from the link below and then just print out your pattern. I actually marked mine on this really hard, I don't want to say it's cardstock, but it's just harder paper as opposed to regular computer paper. So that way, while marking it, I don't just ruin it. So you can just go ahead and do that. And these are the pieces that you'll be using for the main white piece, which is this, the faux fur. You can put the other ones to the side for just a little bit. Now you can just begin marking your pattern pieces on the fabric. I'm using these special pins that when you mark them, you can just remove the markings with heat. There is one small detail that you have to do when it comes to this piece. This is the piece that's going to go at the bottom where the belly is. Now you'll need to draw yourself some of these little gem shapes. I don't know what you call them, but what they'll do is they'll make the legs, instead of sticking out like this, they'll actually come down and fold like this. So your plushie will be standing up. So basically the way I achieve this is to just get a ruler. Then just draw a line connecting this corner right here and this corner. And then I like to use the centimeters. So then I'll just, on that line, I line it to the middle of 1 centimeter. As you can see right here, I lined it right there in the middle, and there's 18, 19 right here. So then what I like to do is just make a marking at where the centimeter begins and where it ends. So then just make a little peak at the top and peak at the bottom, and then just connect those dots, and that'll do. Now that you have all your pieces marked, you can just take a pair of scissors and cut them all out. Now for the face, I like to sort of use this little device. I'm not sure what you call it, but I sort of just like to use it to poke a hole for a lot of plushies where the safety eyes are gonna go. And down here, just get some scissors and carefully cut that line right here, but don't cut anywhere above or below, just straight through right here. You can also add a little bit of fray blocker in these areas, just in case when you sew like the mouth per se, it doesn't start to mess up while you're sewing. Now, for these pieces, these I usually like to print on regular computer paper, and that's so I can pin it correctly, because you can't really do that with hard thick paper. So I like to put these two on pink fleece and these pieces on brown. And this is going to be the tongue, and this is going to be the horns, and these are little details that go on the feet. So now you'll want to get these little brown pieces, and you'll want to put them on to your feet and your legs right here, the way these look. And what you'll basically do is, well, what I like to do is, I like to take a pair of scissors, and then I just like to cut off the fur over here, if you're using fur. If you're not, you don't even have to worry about this, but I just like to sort of align it up and then just cut it off, you know, just to get rid of it, so that when you glue it on here, it's easier to stick. Otherwise, it's just gonna stick on top of the fur pile and just move around and possibly just come off. So then you can just use some regular glue and then just attach them on just like that, and do the same thing for these pieces. Just basically that's why you see these little points that I put on the pattern that are on the left and right side. That's where you'll pretty much cut the fur from. So you'll see one point right here, another one right there. So sort of just align it with your scissors and then just cut it off, and the fur will come out right off. So just do that for all these pieces and then glue them on, and you should be good to go for that. Okay, so once you have all your brown pieces glued on to your little feet, go ahead and put those aside. And you'll want to take your horns. Now, here's one horn. You'll need one piece and the flipped opposite of it. And then you'll just want to place them with the right side facing each other. Let's just place them like this. And then you'll want to sew all the way around and leave the bottom unsewn. You can use a back stitch or machine depending on what you're doing, and just do that for the other horn as well, and put the two pairs aside. So this is how I sewed mine. As you can see, just did a back stitch right here in the middle, then I aligned it with the other piece with the right side facing towards each other, and then just back stitched all the way around. So you can turn these pieces inside out now and then just put them aside. So the next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to sew up these little shapes that you drew earlier, and you'll want to have them sewn up like this. And what this will do is they'll make the feet bend like this, so your plush will be able to stand up. Now the way you do this is to just get your little leg that you're going to use or sew up, and you're going to fold it in half along that middle line that you drew, and then with some thread and needle you're just going to start at the point at the very top of the tip, and then just start back stitching along this line, connecting with this line. So here's how my piece looks like with the tongue sewn on. As you can see, just did a simple back stitch, and this is how it looks on the front. So now what you can do is you can take these pieces and you can go ahead and start pinning them along your big middle piece and align them with the points at the top in the middle. Like this point will go aligned with that one, this one over here, and it should sort of fit in correctly like a little puzzle. So just sort of pin it along that line, and make sure that the feet are pointing towards where the face is. So the feet are pointing this way, the face is on this side, so it'll be pointing that way when you sort of put them together. So go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll tell you what to do. Now with your piece all sewn up, as you can see right here, you'll want to get your little horn pieces, and you'll want to make sure they're pointed downwards like this. Now you'll want to go ahead and place them inside that little hole that you cut out, and the top of the seam that you see right here, align it with that top point that is marked on the pattern. You'll probably see it. And then the bottom seam, which is this right here, align it with that bottom point. So just align those together and just sort of try to fit it in there, and do the same for the other horn and just place it in there. It should fit pretty well. Now go ahead and just sew that along that little line together to the main piece, and same for this one. Okay, so I got my horn sewn, as you can see. Now what you'll want to do next is get some safety eyes. I'm using these right here, and then you'll just want to put them inside your eyes. So I got my safety eyes in, and you can buy these at almost any fabric store and all. I got these at Hobby Lobby. So next what I like to do is go ahead and get your piece ready, the main body piece, and then go ahead and get this belly piece. And you'll want to sort of align it and put it over this, and make sure the first facing each other for both pieces. Okay, so I pinned mine up, and it should look like if it's doing a split sort of. That's how you sort of want to pin it up. Now you'll want to sew up certain areas. For example, you want to sew everything except for the little feet over here, the little brown area, and then the bottom of the feet. And also you want to avoid sewing this little gap over here, so leave that unsewn. As for everything else, go ahead and sew. Now if you're still a little confused, I'm gonna go ahead and sew mine up, and then you'll sort of see where my seams are, so you know what to sew up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick to show you. As you can see, I sewed up like in between these two legs right here in white, over here in white, over here. And then for the feet, what you want to do is in brown thread is to just sew up the front like I did right here. So I just did a quick back stitch. Okay, so now what you want to do is open up the bottom of the feet like this, and then go ahead and take one of your pieces that you put aside and sort of try to fit it in there. And it should fit pretty well. So now just sew it at the top with some brown thread, and then the bottom over here with white. Now you can just turn your plush inside out through this little gap that you left open. Okay, so I already stuffed my plush on the little legs and the whole body. So now what I want to do is get a needle and thread and do a little ladder stitch to close this little gap up. And then I'll show you the last optional step. Now the last thing that I like to do is I just like to get a small pair of scissors, and I like to sort of give it a small little trim. For example, the fur covers the eyes pretty well, and sometimes I like to just cut that off a little bit, so I'll just probably snip it a little bit right there and probably around it, sort of try to shape it up. Hard to explain, but you know, you sort of just want to let the eye be shown a little bit more, and you can do the same over here. And another thing that I sort of like to snip off is like the bottom of the feet right here. I don't really like the fur to be sticking out that much, so I just sort of like to give it a small little trim just to shorten it down. You don't necessarily have to cut it all off, but just you know, fits it up a bit. So it's sort of like grooming your pet or something. So you can do that real quickly and fix up your plush if you want, or you can just leave it all fuzzy and shaggy like over here on this side. So that's pretty much it on how to make this little Poro, and I'll probably show the last finished product. So I hope this video was very useful for you, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Also, I am thinking of uploading more often now, so feel free to hit that subscribe button for future uploads so you can catch them on time. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.